All right, at this time I'd like to call up all of the speakers from today. Sylvia Raschke, Jason Highsmith, Brittany Poussette, Geza Kugler, Matt Ratto, and Urs Schneider. So we're not going to belabor the point further with questions. The orientation of this last bit would be to allow each of the speakers kind of a final comment about what they found for today, or some tidbit of knowledge that will change our worlds here in Canada. So why don't we start at the end, Matt? Come on. You look ready. You're looking at me. Don't make eye contact.
Well, maybe I'll just comment on a word that came up on the screen in this. Thank you. This aspect, this poll, this word poll thing that's up on the screen now. One of the words that came up after the panel that I was on was the word sad. And I don't really know what that means, except for maybe a kind of a nostalgia or a sense of loss associated with changing aspects of the profession or the incorporation of new technologies. I actually don't want to say that's wrong. I actually want to validate that feeling and understand that and acknowledge the fact that changing notions of expertise, changing notions of profession do involve loss and sadness. And I think part of accepting change is accepting that that's part of the process.
So maybe one innovation and profession topic I'd like to mention. I think the prosthetist and orthotist must always be the specialist on the interface to the human body. The physician doesn't have a clue about it. I am one. The physiotherapist doesn't know, maybe a little bit, but the prosthetist and orthotist should always be the specialist on fitting directly onto the skin of a patient. And in the future, she should be qualified in addition on measuring of this interface on the patient. Then the thing remains the same, it remains the same clinical function, no one can replace him, and he's just having like more quantified information, like from Geza, on this, and there'll always be the interface guy who's not replaceable. And I think that is a strong role.
So I concur with that also, from the sense of the way how grants are getting funded right now and it's related to innovation, is that they are these interdisciplinary collaborations. If you don't have a team, the chances of you being funded in your lab with similar backgrounds is just not going to happen. And as a clinician / bioengineer, I'm remarked on how many projects I'm doing now that are totally outside of orthotics and prosthetics, where typically there would be an MD on a grant that would provide the medical perspective. I'm actually the medical consultant on some major grants, and there's no MDs on the grant. So my skill set was valued, not as a bioengineer, not even as a scientist, but to blend, but more on that clinical aspects. And so for me, it's embracing and opening up a whole other world of things that I think that I can do, but it was because I had the right ask. And so I think as long as that's happening, those interactions are happening, I think that innovation can happen and it can grow.
I'll conclude simply by saying that I hope many of you will consider getting involved now with small to large projects in whatever your areas are. Our team is certainly looking for people to partner with us, clinical facilities where we can send students to do projects. The students won't necessarily be prosthetic students or orthotic students, but they will be doing projects in those areas. And there's a lot of opportunities to take that enthusiasm that they bring, that curiosity that they bring, to actually get them to answer questions that we don't have the funding to do a big project on, or don't have the time because our capacity is already full. So I hope you'll approach either Gord from George Brown College or myself and Brittany and Dave on the BCIT side about how you can get involved. I'd like to see a lot more students moving back and forth internationally as well. I think this is where we can build our capacity. And by partnering with an institution, you have all the background support that you need where you can't run a project on your own in a clinic. You need ethics approval to run human subject trials, which is what prosthetics and orthotic studies do. So by partnering with BCIT, this is how Brittany and Dave are able to get the ethics approval. So having an institution sort of has your back a little bit, gives you legitimacy, gives you access to stuff that you can't do yourselves. So think about it. I know you're all busy, but some of our student projects can actually offload you, I think, and help you find your way through that spaghetti mess in the middle right now. Brittany.
I think as I kind of look around the panel and realize that I represent kind of the certifee in Canada who's currently practicing, and when I look back on today and I look at these word clouds, thank you, so whatever you call that, I'm really encouraged that collaboration is the thing that's come up after almost every single presentation today. And I think we're in a very exciting place in our profession. And I think for myself today was just incredibly encouraging to see how so many of us care about these topics and are excited to collaborate together on them.
So I agree with everything's been said here. I don't know what I can add to it except to say, commonly I hear a lot of times where clinicians will come to a meeting like this, practicing clinicians that are insanely busy in the daily grind, and take the time out to come and participate and listen to pointy-headed academics, up here, right, that don't know much about much. And, and so right away, that alone should tell you something about your commitment to your patients. And so, kind of echoing your thoughts, it's not, you shouldn't have the attitude that, I'm one practicing clinician, what can I do about this study or what can I do about this policy? It's actually what you're doing is what's so important that's going to make the difference. And so, for example, just at lunch today, fantastic lunch conversations about different things that are happening here locally, clinically. I learned more there than I could learn, by holding 3 journal clubs or finishing up a study or whatever. In the half hour I had talking with 2 clinicians here from the local area. And so you have a lot to offer. And so going back to what Sylvia said, if there's an opportunity for you to get involved with somebody, the time to get involved is when there's not a crisis. That's the time to get involved. Because when there's a crisis going on like we just lived through in the States, it's a little too late then to start. I mean, yeah, the involvement there is fantastic, but it's a little too late at that point, and you got what you got, and you go forward with that. So find the time now to start getting involved. And I would say hold yourselves up professionally. Don't use the language of I'm a technician. You're a professional, and you have a body of knowledge, and you have the training, and you are the specialist in the room. And so just keep that in mind. And when you go back into your practices, think about the awesome things that you do every day. You'll stand a patient up for the first time. Many of the other allied healthcare team members that you work with won't. You will, right? So keep that in mind. What you do is special. So thanks for coming out, and thanks for listening to us today. Appreciate
Beautiful.
it.
Thank you very much. And I'd just like to give a hand to the panel for today. I echo Matt's checking out of the clouds here, and I'm wondering, who the hell's Helen? I'm missing something for sure. It's not the first time, certainly won't be the last. I'll hold on to collaboration. I'm done with Helen. Anyway, I'd like you all to give yourselves a hand for coming out today and being part of this. I think that something really special happened today. I look forward to the conference, and I look forward to everybody going out with new ideas and hopefully a little fresh outlook that was provided from the discussions that happened through the day. So give yourselves a round of applause. And we'll see you all at the Wine and Cheese. Oh, sorry. before we go to the wine and cheese, we're going to go to Dan. You could tell him about the wine and cheese.
Yeah, we're just going to wrap up quickly with that exercise that we started with at the beginning of the day. So we'll let Dana set that up with just a little bit of polling. And I know everyone's itching to get out of here, so we won't keep you here for too long. So the first question is, provide the response that best reflects your opinion on how significant you believe the profession will be required to change to address the needs of the future. So we had that one earlier. Are things going to change? Will nothing change? We've been listening to it all day. You know, clearly things are changing. So the opinion is, you know. Okay, yeah. So yeah, just try to get your answers in there. At least there's a pretty strong consensus that no one believes nothing will change. So that's good. I'm relieved to see that. Oh, thank you, yeah. That was someone I know. Just... So if Dana's, do you want to flash this morning's results? So we're at 89% that there's going to be considerable change. And this morning, we had, I can't remember, it was like 72%. Oh yeah, that screen right there. So I mean, obviously, we've bent the ears of a few people in the room today. And you know, that's part of this concept of getting together and having these discussions. Okay. Well, basically, I just have a couple of closing remarks, and it's just to say that the intent of today was really not to scare anyone. It wasn't to scare you about the future or to say that what we're doing today or what we've been doing for the last 30 years is wrong. We just wanted to begin the discussions to, you know, remind everyone that it's important to be cohesive as a profession. The concept of collaboration within the profession and with our allied healthcare professionals and our colleagues is extremely important so that we can, as we said, continue to remain relevant and be the gold standard for providers of prosthetic and orthotic care. The change, you know, is clearly omnipresent. Evolutions of all professions, of skills, of knowledge, techniques, and competencies are more a part of the way societies evolve. And the orthotics and prosthetics profession is basically not immune to that. We'll just let this next poll continue before I continue with that. And we're looking at how you feel right now about the preparedness in relation to the future of the profession. And I'm not sure that you know, things have changed that much. Maybe some more people are excited. Maybe some people are still somewhat prepared. But part of, you know, the evolution after today is that hopefully the profession can become more prepared, and some tools can be put into place, or some activities of of OPC, maybe with some ideas that Jason spoke about, with, you know, creating some groups and some workings on this, will help us be more excited about bringing this on. So I think this number went out. I don't know if it's worth flashing back, but I know earlier this morning the excited number was down around 40. So we did move around 10%, I think. So yeah, so that's good. And you know, maybe that's not going to change through today, but I'm definitely excited about what happened today. So that's great. The next question is, what area do you feel least prepared for? Evidence-based practice, clinical data collections. We saw those numbers there briefly. And this is least prepared for technology or interdisciplinary interaction, right? So that's a tough question when after today we're all feeling prepared about all of it, you know. We do have to continue to evolve to ensure that we provide our patients with the mobility, the comfort, and the security that they require for the quality of life that they deserve. And that's what today is all about. We need to continue to have a conversation and have discussions about these plans and plans that the entire profession can work together on, get behind, and support. And OPC looks forward to facilitating that. That's definitely on the radar, and we're really keen about that. I encourage you to take what you learned here today and discuss it with your colleagues over the next few days at the conference, and continue the conversation after the conference. So it's looking like we're feeling still a little bit least prepared for evidence-based practice. Similar answers to this morning, 35%, 35%. So hopefully there's some things you can get in touch with some of the people at the front of the room here. Sylvia's made some nice offers, and we can work on that. And I think this is our final question. What do you feel most prepared for? Do you feel most prepared for interdisciplinary interaction, or is it technology? What does it happen to be? And so as we enter our answers here, I'd just like to thank a number of people. I'd like to thank David Moe for playing host today. We appreciate your leadership in the field and all of this stuff. I'd like to thank Dr. Sylvia Rashke for putting this on the radar and helping this come to fruition. You clearly feel passionate about it, and that's important. We appreciate it. Thank you. I need to extend our deepest gratitude to the Technology Showcase exhibitors. They've supported the day today, and they've helped us negotiate the road that we're traveling. So if you have the chance, please take one of those people aside and just thank them for showcasing their products today and for just being a sponsor for today's activities. I'd also like to thank OPC and AMSYS staff, so Mara, Catherine, Sandra, and Lindsay, and Dana as well, for doing all the legwork and putting today together and just getting the conference started with just a really unique event. And finally, I'd like to express my gratitude to the panelists and the invited speakers for sharing their knowledge and helping this conversation get started. Really appreciate it.